Hey guys, in this video we're taking a look at how to incorporate metaphors into your lyric writing. Metaphoric language provides an amazing way to add depth to your lyrics by communicating your thoughts and your ideas, as well as emotions in a more satisfying and nuanced way, transcending otherwise typical or ordinary uses of plain language. So what is a metaphor? Metaphors are a form of figurative language as opposed to being literal. The dictionary defines a metaphor as, quote, a figure of speech in which a word or phrase is applied to an object or action to which it is not literally applicable, end quote. The example used in the dictionary definition is to describe sadness as falling through a trap door of depression. So the idea is not that the person who is sad is literally falling through a trap door. Rather, this is only a poetic use of language to hyperemphasize the emotion of being sad. Essentially, a metaphor is a phrase that describes something in terms of being something else in a way that is not literally true but helps explain a deeper emotion or underlying feeling behind the language. If you take a metaphoric phrase literally, it should sound pretty bizarre. For instance, you may have heard the phrase walking on eggshells to describe how it feels to be around somebody who's emotionally difficult. As in, every time Joe's in the room, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells trying not to upset him. In this example, the speaker is not literally walking on top of eggshells, which would be sort of ridiculous. This is only a way to express the feeling of having to be extra delicate around a difficult person. Another example might be if you refer to a loving partner or a spouse as your quote-unquote rock. This person is not literally a physical rock that you might find outside, it's just that their love creates a sense of stability for you. Keep in mind that metaphors are not similes, which is another form of figurative language. Similes compare things using the words like or as. Metaphors just literally discuss one thing as though they're another. For example, a simile could be used to say that Joe is as brave as a lion, or Sally is smart like a fox. Similes have less potency as poetic devices because it's clear that a comparison is being drawn between two things as opposed to one thing being discussed as though it is in fact the other. In the context of songwriting, metaphors allow writers to capture many of the nuances of expression for which there is no specific or standard vocabulary. Creating a new metaphor as a writer is actually a very creative undertaking, since the writer has full reign to invent them at will. This allows for a tremendous amount of creativity to explore a more poetic use of language to better capture what the writer feels, what they see in their minds, and to convey their ideas much more powerfully. Metaphors are also intrinsically capable of becoming very beautiful sonically, i.e. the way they sound, or can present much more potent language than using plain ordinary speech. Let's take a look at several examples from popular songs across a variety of different eras from past to present. Bob Dylan's Tangled Up in Blue illustrates a good example of a straightforward metaphor. The metaphor is the phrase tangled up in blue, i.e. Bob is not literally tangled up in the color blue. Rather, this is a way for him to express that he is caught up in a prolonged sadness, lamenting over the fact that he cannot be with a woman he loves from afar. Ed Sheeran's Photograph illustrates a relatively straightforward metaphor example from a modern-day song when he discusses how time is frozen still in pictures we take of each other. In this example, time is not literally at sub-zero freezing temperatures. This is just his way of expressing how pictures capture isolated moments in time we can revisit when we look at them. What if the lyric was, we keep this love in a photograph, we make these memories for ourselves, where our eyes are never closing, our hearts are never broken, and time is forever displayed motionless and captured in an isolated moment that we can review over and over again? That wouldn't quite work. Another example comes from Taylor Swift's Shake It Off. In the first verse that follows the chorus, she talks about being lightning on her feet. Obviously, she's not literally lightning. This is just a poetic way to establish that she's a good dancer. I mean, it would be ridiculous if she said, I never miss a beat, I'm such a good freaking dancer. Oh yeah. Or maybe it wouldn't. Neil Young's Heart of Gold illustrates an example of an extended metaphor. An extended metaphor is essentially just a lengthy, more elaborate play on a metaphor, or multiple metaphors, to really drive home the comparison. The intention is to build a deep depiction of the particular thought, emotion, or action at hand. In this particular song, Young uses the phrase, I've been a miner for a heart of gold, to describe the feeling of searching for a truer expressiveness either within himself or a partner. The metaphor is extended because there is a double play on the wording. He's been a number 1 minor, not literally, for a 2 heart of gold, also not literal. Or he could have said, I'm in search of this feeling state of being more honest, truthful, and of a higher moral integrity, which doesn't really work for a song. Another example of an extended metaphor comes from Maroon 5's Stereo Heart. In that track, Adam Levine sings the lyric, my heart's a stereo, not literally. It beats for you, so listen close. Just riffing on this concept of the heart as a stereo, his heart is not literally beating for the person. Hear my thoughts in every note. Oh, again. More riffing on this idea of the heart as a stereo. His thoughts are not literally in every beat of the heart, and the beats are not musical notes being played for his love interest. A famous extended metaphor from literature is Shakespeare's As You Like It, the passage that reads, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. Another way to use metaphors is by using a series of them in tandem, which is called using a mixed metaphor. Mixed metaphors typically combine unrelated metaphors, which can be effective to drive home a point, but can also sound ridiculous if you go overboard. People in the corporate and political world use mixed metaphors a lot. For example, when the big boss comes in and says, we've got to step up to the plate and put all the cards on the table. I'm tired of seeing you people just mailing it in and running on autopilot. Our competitors are killing us and leaving us behind in a trail of dust. Try reading that sentence and interpreting each phrase literally. The office workers stepping up to a baseball diamond's home plate, putting playing cards on a poker table, mailing their work into the office, or being literally killed by the competition while standing in a big cloud of dust. A tasteful example of a mixed metaphor comes from a song in Coldplay's Sky Full of Stars, which has the following lines, you're a sky full of stars, not literally. You light up the dark, more of an extension of the notion of being a sky full of stars. I'm going to give you my heart. Here's the mixed metaphor. He's not literally going to rip out his heart from his chest. I don't care, go on and tear me apart. Again, she's not literally going to tear him apart. Or maybe she is. Be cautious in mixing so many metaphors that you leave your audience scratching their heads. Like if you have a lyric that reads something like, you can complain until you're blue in the face, but I'm not changing until the cows come home and pigs fly. Huh? Or this train's a rolling out, this boat is setting sail, flying down the highway, hugging closely to the rails. Maybe pick a mode of transportation. Although, I'll leave this up to you because songs are completely personal. The final examples are called dead metaphors, otherwise known as cliches. These can be used tastefully or they can sound tired and unoriginal. A tasteful example is Sia's Chandelier, which contains the relatively common metaphor of talking about her phone blowing up. The lyric goes, I'm the one for a good time call, phone's blowing up, they're ringing my doorbell. The lyric works because of the way it sits relative to the other lyrics surrounding it. The phrase is a metaphor because the phone is not literally blowing up, rather it's a common way to say that the phone is ringing a lot. Another example is the Beatles' Let It Be, which has the lyric, when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree. The people's hearts are not literally broken, the people are just sad. The metaphor is used very commonly, but almost sounds just like a common phrase at this point because it's a cliche, rather than a washed-up old metaphor. Be careful about lines like, my heart beats for you, plenty of fish in the sea, kid in a candy store, and other tired old sayings that have lost poignancy. In those cases, see if you can invent your own more original metaphoric language. In sum, metaphors are a very powerful poetic device to communicate what you have to say by conveying a more nuanced form of language more closely linked with the emotion behind the words used. In listening to this video, I hope the examples will make you more sensitive to metaphors you hear in songs that you listen to in the future and stimulate your own creativity to explore metaphoric language in your own writing. As an exercise, if you're up for it, feel free to try the following. Try to rewrite these phrases with metaphoric language. After each example, I'll provide a possible solution, but when you see the exercise come up, go ahead and pause the video and see if you can come up with your own solution before you see the possible solution that comes next. You ready? Here we go. Number 1. Literal phrase, I'm feeling really upset with you. Can you come up with a metaphoric phrase to say the same thing? Possible solution 1. You've lit the flames of fury within me. Number 2. It's taking a long time to get where I want to go. Possible solution. My feet are frozen in place, chasing a dream so far away. Number 3. It's extremely difficult to communicate with you when you're upset. Possible solution. You're a stone, lodged and tucked away, lips sealed. Number 4. Today has been one of the most exciting days of her life. Possible solution. She's a beam of light from this wonderful day. Number 5. You feel very distant from me emotionally. Possible solution. You're an island lost in a fog at sea from me. I hope this helps. Best of luck to you in your songwriting, and be sure to like and subscribe this video if you enjoyed the content. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.
I'm not doing that on the internet.